Oh, hello, eighth graders. How's everyone doing today? Good. Caesar. Just in time for us to get into chapter 15, the Civil War. It's here. We've been talking about it all year long. Slavery's been an issue in the United States all year long. Now the United States can't avoid it anymore with the election of Abraham Lincoln. The war between Americans, brothers, begins. Now, there's whole college classes on the Civil War. We have essentially 3 days to do it online. It's kind of a bummer because there's a lot of cool stuff going on in it. People dedicate their whole lives to studying the Civil War. If you are a history nerd like myself and Caesar, oh yeah, then make sure you do some studying on your own. But some of the battles that happened in this Civil War that lasted days, which cost thousands of Americans their lives. Maybe you've been to Fredericksburg or Chancellorsville or Gettysburg or Vicksburg or in Atlanta. But again, the casualties in the tens of thousands, 3 to 4 days worth of nonstop fighting. The battles in the Civil War, action-packed. What made those battles so intense were the guys in charge, the generals. Now, imagine this. All of these guys go to the same college, West Point University, where they train military geniuses in our country. It's the Army Academy, West Point. And there's guys there, Robert E. Lee, Ulysses S. Grant, George McClellan. And then the Civil War starts, and they divide up into two teams. So the best of the best had to pick which side of this war are we going to be on. Imagine if the Avengers had to split up into two teams. Who would you want on your team? Who do you think is the best Avenger? Well, most people in the Civil War case thought the best Avenger, the best general, was the guy Robert E. Lee. And he eventually chose the Confederate side. But the generals, some of the most well-known in history, that led the charge in a lot of these intense battles. The Civil War was also the time that cameras really started taking some of the world's first photographs. So if you're a photo freak like Lazo, old Civil War photography has also kind of found a niche. Some of it's kind of gruesome and eerie, these battlefields with hundreds of dead strewn across the ground. But if you want to see those early pictures of Abraham Lincoln and soldiers in camp, the Civil War was also home to, again, some of the first photographs. Look, my friends, there are nerds that reenact the Civil War every year. They get dressed up. They go through the history and the battles. I mean, it is a big deal, this Civil War. I wish we could get dressed up and play Union versus Confederacy. But again, Caesar and I really have 3 days to do it online with you. So let's get started by taking a look at the map. Now, again, the North, it's the Union. It's the same thing. When you hear Union, think it's the North. It's the United States of America. The South here in red was the Confederacy, the Confederate States of America. These were the states that seceded when Abraham Lincoln was elected president and formed their own country. They believed they had the right to make their own slavery laws. Then you had the border states, these states here in light blue. They didn't feel right seceding or leaving the United States, but they also allowed slavery. Lincoln didn't really want to press the issue with these states because he thought, if I push that slavery issue, they're going to secede, and I'm going to lose more states to the Confederacy. Now, when it came time to the advantages, who really was in better position? Well, we're going to see from this scorecard who clearly should have won this thing pretty quickly. Now, who had more states? The North. Who had more people, which equals more soldiers? The North. Who had more railroad track to move supplies, troops, crops? The North. Who had more factories to manufacture weapons and goods used for the war? The North. Who had more farmland to feed their troops and people? The North. Now, the better generals, the South, but you don't need that great of generals when you have more soldiers, men aged 18 to 45. The one thing, again, the South did have going for it, besides the better generals, is they got to play defense. The North was trying to get the South to come back to the country. So they really just had to stay at home and play defense. The North was the one who was going to have to do the work. And that brings us to the strategy. Again, the North, we want to control the Mississippi River. That's the South's main link for transportation. We want to blockade their ports. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. This will cut off their supply chain. It'll also cut off their ability to make money if they can't sell cotton to those European markets. We also want to cut off the head of the South. If we invade Richmond, Virginia, the capital, and take it, well, you cut off the head, the rest of the body will fall. That was the North's strategy. It took a while to get going, and they had some struggles here and there. Now, the South, they just want to play defense. Again, they just want to be left alone. If the North quits and leaves them as the Confederate States of America, then they've won. They get to have slavery, and they're left alone. They also tried to get some help from Europe, the British, the French, the Spanish. Hey, help us. Because again, as you can see by the scorecard, the South needed as much help as they could get. I hope that wet your beak a little bit and got you excited for this Civil War. Again, Caesar and I are bummed that we only have a short time with it, but we're going to make the most of it. Keep checking in every day to learn more about it and attack that Chapter 15 quiz that I sent out. All right, my friends. Caesar, anything you need to say? Bye-bye. Bye-bye.